Okay, I'm gonna get started. Okay. Okay, can everyone hear me now? Okay, great. I was trying to see all the comments. Okay, so yeah, there was a little bit of technical difficulties, and our TRHT person that was supposed to do an intro couldn't log on the way we needed to. So I started the broadcast, and we'll get started like immediately. My little boy's at home today, so yeah, so he may hop in every now and again. But you're gonna go back on and get on your tablet. So go to the next. So he's gonna get on and do some PBS Kids for a little bit while I chat with all you lovely people. So I guess to begin with, my name is Jodi Voice, and you're in the session, Our Words Are Medicine. And yeah, I guess, since we don't have the little intro, I'll just jump right in since we're behind just a tiny bit. So yeah, so here we go. I do his hair. Yeah, everybody loves his hair. All the girls love the curls. I'm trying to get some notes up that I had ready. So yeah, we'll jump right in. So welcome to Our Words Are Medicine. Jodi Voice Yellowfish. I said hello, how are you? My name is Jodi Voice Yellowfish. I am Muscogee Creek, a Cherokee or Beaver Clan, as well as Oglala Lakota and Cherokee. I'm so thankful to be here with all of you. And just to kind of set the tone for understanding how powerful our words can be, I want to start with a quick land acknowledgement. So, we live, work, organize, survive, thrive, and struggle on ancestral indigenous homelands. And what we call Texas was forever and will be the homelands of the Wichita, the Caddo, the Tawakoni, the Kichi, and it was also important as lands that were utilized and roamed through by the Comanche and the Kiowa and countless others. And there are many names that we do not know and may never get the chance to speak out loud because they are now all ancestors who had the chance to pass along knowledge stolen from them by the act of violence and genocide. This doesn't happen by accident. It's very strategic. Dallas was also built with slave labor, and that fact cannot be ignored either. We bring that history and pain into this space, into this circle, so that we can heal. And I just feel that it's always very important to set the tone with this and to understand that within healing and within the conversations and within the words that we speak, we bring in so much with us. We bring so much pain into the space, so much history, so many, the words we speak. We bring in ancestors into the spaces that we work in, and every day it's not just we don't go about our everyday as if it's a healing process. We're going about our day raising our children, doing our work, going to conferences. But I always try to start with a land acknowledgement to bring in that tone and to just begin in a respectful way. So some of the work that I've been doing around understanding the power and the medicine and in your words and the healing aspects of understanding all that. I want everybody to understand that if we were doing this together, we would be in a circle. So we will be moving through our time together as if we're in a circle. And we need to keep that in mind as well as we talk and grow with each other. The practice of being seen in a circle when speaking and sharing or accepting knowledge and all feelings and lessons is important, because how I understand and how I've grown into being who I am, we're all seen but can't, we're all seen at all times in a circle. And you can stay silent, to your comfort, but you still add to the growth and only strengthen that circle just by you being present. So that's how I want everybody to go through our time together, is that we're in a circle together. And I don't like to do the presentations where it's just, me doing the deposits and you accepting. I know it's a little hard just because we have the chat, but if there are questions that you just really want something to be clarified, or maybe I didn't say it clear, feel free to jump in, and I'll try to pay attention to the chat as much as possible. But yeah, those are the way I want to start with our time together. So yeah, I guess we can just dive right into how oh cool, somebody's Muscogee too. I see that. Maybe I didn't say it clear. Oh, can everybody still hear me okay? Yeah, okay, there we go. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and here we go. So we're gonna just dive right into our words are medicine and how that ties into racial healing. That's why we're all gathered here today, and it's such an important part of our everyday existence, but it's something that feels so brand new to just, still to myself and to many others, this aspect of racial healing. So personally, how I kind of got or began on this journey, I've always felt compelled to kind of reclaim all the power and knowledge from my ancestors and contemporary relatives in a caring way to show respect, love, who I am. And until recently, I hadn't claimed those actions as an act of healing. I proudly wear regalia. I speak, what bits of my language I do know proudly. I speak up for my people, and that feels like a constant thing. I know many natives feel that, and I'm sure every person of color feels that. You're speaking up for your people constantly, but I do it all without thinking. I was doing this all like it's just second nature, just almost going through the motions of being active and an organizer and an advocate. But also I was not in tune with racial healing until several years ago, and what that could really look like. Once I began the journey with, especially with Dallas TRHT, I saw this emotion tied to people that were literally learning about their history. We had the opportunity to learn so much from folks like Jerry and just people in our cities, but Dallas specifically. And it was Dallas history, but I saw the emotion tied with people learning about their history. Like I said, it's Dallas history, but it was their history. I saw tears and pain and thought, this has been my entire life since I was a child, seeing painful trauma shared in textbooks and literally photos of your dead ancestors on calendars and magazines and documentaries, and these things weren't created by us. I always wondered if other people were numb to this, all like I had become. I realized, once I began this journey with TRHT, that I had kind of stopped crying in these moments in recent years. I saw these things, and it didn't, evoke those tears for me, and that pain. I was hiding it. And so I knew that in my world and my culture and my family, I knew that my tears were medicine. in their own right, but I know tears can be tokenized as well. So I was dealing with this very odd balancing act. So, you know, seeing this happen with people in my city, I became extremely intentional with my words and how I engaged with people. And TRHT, it really provided a space where I felt heard, and that was new. Even though I had been speaking up for my people constantly, speaking to hundreds of people, just constantly sharing in this space with this healing aspect, I felt heard, and that was so brand new. I was always asked to share more on that topic or expand on this or that, and or just, you know, given props for dropping some knowledge that I felt was just inherent and very natural, and I was often embraced and uplifted, you know, share more, you know, speak more on this, and that was just extremely new to me. I'm gonna check these, check the chat just real quick. But yeah, so I'm just gonna keep on going. But let me get back to this. So so I was told to embrace all these things, and it was so new for me. You know, I have always been aware of the phrase, our words are medicine, or your words are medicine, but I had always kept that to myself in a sense, and only shared that concept and that aspect of life with my native peoples and in different settings and different communities. As Native or Indigenous peoples, you know, we use the term medicine in many ways. Our prayers are medicine, tears are medicine. You can say, you know, they have good medicine. You know, just to name a few ways how we use those words. It speaks to the medicine our spirits need, you know, our soul needs. And I was taught to be aware of words I said and how I said them. And many folks talk about speaking in their language as medicine because our ancestors understand, and that keeps our culture alive. So in a sense, you know, we're taught about the power of our words in many, many forms. You know, I may not be fluent in any of my languages. I'm 3 different tribes. Yeah, and just to I guess go back to, you know, because I kind of jumped into starting. You know, I'm Muscogee Creek, Oglala Lakota, and Cherokee, and so and I was raised in Dallas. You know, I'm a product of relocation. I'm 3 different tribes. You know, it was I wasn't around fluent speakers, so you know, I don't have that in my life. You know, it's something I yearn for, and it makes me incredibly sad. I don't know that, and I can't teach that language to my children, but that's, you know, that's my reality, and that's a part of what I deal with when dealing with speaking and my words. And yeah, but you know, so I may not be fluent, you know, in any of my language, and I even stumble when it comes to the colonizers' language, you know, we all use, but I still hold power and medicine in my truth and the truths of my people. And when that is realized and acknowledged in your life, and in all the circles that you navigate daily, you and your people have an opportunity to heal, because there's so much medicine in your truth and your people's truth. And when you speak with intention and the right medicine, you not only walk with your ancestors, but they speak into you. You know, in troubled times and times when things are rough, you know, I've been told, you know, you're not alone, your ancestors are with you. And that's something, you know, that I've held really close, especially during this pandemic when we all feel alone. And that's something that's really sparked more intention within my life, is knowing that everything I do, my ancestors are with me. And I truly believe that. And I truly believe that, you know, you walk with your ancestors and they speak into you and they are helping you speak. I say I may not have, I say that, but I may not have realized that earlier in my life. But now that I am more on a healing journey and aware of this healing journey, I believe the medicine in my words and the power of healing from that power was frightening before I truly and fully embraced some of those aspects in my life. So many of us, we can fight for our people. That's what we're used to, how we can fight for our people, but can we stop to heal and build and grow with and for our people? Oftentimes, this warrior, this persona of a warrior, you put everybody before yourself. And I think when you realize that you need to have a little more attention with yourself, that's when you can truly begin to heal. But for me, when the pandemic hit and our worlds turned virtual, I was forced to kind of stop the rush, the mad, crazy, and wild schedules that I would place upon myself. I was forced to stop and be home and be with my family. I had to stop and be fully present. And navigating that was not easy. we had to implement movement, physical movement as a family. And we began our days with like smudging off with sage, and not only for prayer's sake and for folks that are ill or in pain, but it was to give us as a family the guidance we needed daily, because this was so new and just uncharted territory. I was centering my life with the words we spoke daily. I realized with this positivity that it wasn't easy, but I literally had not been more involved in my children's education. I had never organized in my city the way I was up to that point. I was empowered and realized as well that I wasn't being heard or listened to the way I needed. And I felt the medicine of my family to speak up and not be ignored. I not only like organized differently, but I felt the need to help others in my circles feel the same. Even through battling COVID, I was excited to get through it and get back to it all. 5 out of 6 of the people in my home, we had COVID this summer. And it made such a difference the way we were working together and speaking to each other in those moments when you're in isolation and you're only talking for a moment through a hallway or through a door, or these things. You realize how powerful the words you say are, and how you don't have a lot of time to say the words that you need to all the time. But because of those intentions within my home, I was so ready to get back to where I was before we were ill. I was just, like I said, I was excited to get through it and get back to everything, the craziness in my life. The more I spoke my truths, the more my people's truth came into all aspects of organizing and creating, and I was literally healing and becoming someone new. I was being asked to speak to issues I was surprised about and unsure if I was the right person to do so. And I have close friends and organizers and advocates that are like, you got this, you have it, you have the word you need. And I had to look deep within myself though, because I knew my ancestors needed to be in these spaces. And I think until I realized that, the doubt and if I could do it or not became more present, and I realized that, and I fully embrace that now, which is something hard for me to do, but it's extremely needed. So after our bout with COVID, I really, like I said, I really realized I wasn't being heard in the way I needed to, and that fell on me. You know, that fell on what I was letting happen, and you know, like I said, I just felt this power to do more. Um, I felt the power every time I was intentional with my words, and I began to speak up more. I began to speak up about things maybe I wouldn't have before, and I truly feel like because I was at home and because I had the love of my family just on the other side of the wall, that I felt I would want them to be this way, so I need to be this way. And you know, so randomly, one day this summer, you know, post COVID, in my home, when I was much more thankful for each day and each breath, I received a call about a project and a commission to create in a way I needed, but I had never had the chance to do before. Um, However, I was continually speaking the need for healing, you know, into fruition, you know, in my own life. I was offering medicine into the world through my words and through my truth, and through this conversation and through this possibility that, you know, just, you know, was afforded to me. The reclamation talking circles that I curate currently began to happen. And I think I was so focused on organizing and advocacy that I had put aside the part of myself and my life that held creativity. And within that creativity and the artist kind of love in your life, that lends to healing. And I think that was so ignored in my life, that I had no idea that that's the avenue that I needed to create this, work. You know, this work is happening through Cara Mia Theater Company in Dallas, and this was literally probably the last collaboration I could have foreseen to happen that would make this a reality. Yeah, I'm going to talk just a bit about the reclamation circles. Hold on just a second, Ezra, turn that down a little bit. um so yeah, I can hear I can hear his shows, and it's just kind of throwing me off. But so, you know, this conversation happened, you know, and it was about how can we not only uplift Indigenous or Native voices, but to center these voices, and to center how you know, all of these things I was saying that I felt like I needed and we needed, and I was just like, where can I need a home for this work, and I need some guidance. And what happened was, you know, through these talks, you know, I came up with the idea for these reclamation talking circles. So currently these sessions, these circles, they happen in groups of 4, and with the core theme being reclaiming aspects such as time and self, creativity and celebration, through speaking with responsibility and consent, care, awareness, and knowing the power of breathing and breath and space. We finally have a space in Dallas now where, you know, Indigenous protocols are not only centered but utilized at all to heal. We embrace sharing with respect, with the goal being healing. And as activists and organizers, advocates, we fight for our needs, and oftentimes, you know, our pain is exploited, and we must kind of pander through sharing painful lived experiences to make funders or our city see the needs that are not being met. I at that point, especially this summer before I had this conversation, I was tired of sharing about my family. I was exploiting my pain, my own pain. I was tired of sharing about my family's need for access to mental health care, and only speaking about that need, but not speaking at all about all the historical trauma or the pain about living in an urban area. I was just so ready to heal, and I just kind of like I spoke it into existence. I just saw the need for why do we have to do this? Why do we have to talk about all of this pain and not talk about what can actually help heal us as a people, and not just the specific family or not just my specific need. And so within doing all of this, especially this summer, like I said, like with battling COVID and realizing how thankful I was, and you know, basically fighting our city for budgetary things, and seeing the holes in how our care happens. So with these circles, not only is the goal healing, on an individual level, but the goal is to activate that healing within your relationships. May that be with partners or work or familial relationships. And if that healing can happen, I foresee that, that you can be activated to do more. You can do not only heal yourself and your family, but you can step outside of that and go and do work in your community with a completely different mindset. And that was the goal of understanding the medicine that we have within ourselves, and understanding that our words are medicine and our words are power, because of the breath we hold and the breath we use and the tears we share and the space that we share. But yeah, so that's kind of where I wanted to, how much I wanted to share about it, and how much I wanted to lead into the actual reclamation work that we're doing and that healing aspect. But I would love to answer any questions or read all of the questions now. I don't want to run out of time. I hope we, okay. Okay, so I see one question from Teresita. I've been told that what I speak is truth, but it comes out harsh. How do we still speak truth, but make the medicine have a little sugar in it? um, I always kind of felt that, my mother would literally tell me, I've been an activist, dealing with mascot issues since I was a teenager in this area in Dallas. And so I've been very active in my city in that aspect. And my mother used to have to remind me, like, not to, like if I said things too harsh. And to me, I felt like I'm just being honest. I'm just speaking my truth. But, and I could feel it. I could sense that people were kind of scared to speak with me, or, they would ask me to speak, but I'm like, I want to help you speak. It shouldn't just be me. And as I grew older and grew into the spaces that I am now, I feel that this healing aspect and this walking through your life with the intention of every word you're speaking has really changed that view of me, and that it comes out harsh, and that I do need to put a little sugar in it. It was more, I spoke with the pain I felt, and I had really pushed that down. I didn't embrace that at all. And I I think once I kind of embraced that pain, I knew that everyone around me is dealing with that pain as well. And it really changed how I speak. But it took a long time for me to embrace that pain, because I was seen as this this warrior woman that's going to speak for us, and I was told those things, and I was just like, well, I'm not supposed to be soft, I'm not supposed to cry, but I need to, and I think that's something that needs to be embraced, and that can change that kind of aspect of that. I hope that I hope that answered somewhat. So I'll go to the next question. Alexandria asks, what are your go-to self-care practices? So with me personally, I deal with some sciatic issues, but stretching and getting the blood moving and helping, and I have asthma as well, so breathing's always been an issue with me. I've had those moments where I can't breathe. And especially now after COVID, my lungs are shot. I struggle every day. So it's, just breathing, stretching and breathing with intention, being thankful for each breath I have, being thankful for the breath still in me that I can speak. So yeah, I think I've embraced stretching and breathing more than I have ever in my life. And I always felt like I embraced those, but also, just the circles that I'm in now, and I organize in, there's this this community care that, different circles have truly embraced, especially in these times when, we can't depend on anybody for our health care at the moment. It's a struggle, and knowing that I have a circle of people that will ask if I'm okay and what do you need, and things like that. That is, I think, self-care. One of the most important self-care practices is knowing that you have people to support you, and knowing that you're supporting people in their care as well. Because if you offer that care, you see what you need, and that took me a long time to do as well. I do so much for so many people with, I do MMIW work, and that's missing and murdered Indigenous women, and that's very heavy, scary, scarring work. I can be on calls and chats into the middle of the night, and then I fall asleep and I'm dreaming about these things, dreaming about these people, or so knowing and asking somebody if they're sleeping okay reminds me to ask myself if I'm sleeping okay and what do I need. I think that's a very important self-care practice. Let's see. Okay. What are some publications, Twitter accounts that I can subscribe to learn more about Indigenous culture and healing? Yeah, that's one I can't really think off the top of my head right now, but I found following people that my beliefs align with, that I know are MMIW advocates or activists, and the same for environmental issues. I feel that with Indigenous culture, all of these things are tied. I get asked to speak about environmental issues constantly, and that surprises people, but there's that connection between the fight they're doing for the earth and how that affects the fight for women relatives and two-spirit relatives, and that connection between it all. I have found it happens because of our culture, and so it's, I couldn't say one is just about health and wellness, but you're going to see that mental health care and self-care and community care through all of these people because of that Indigenous aspect in their lives and their work. I personally feel that. I try to uplift and share people within my my own social media and things like that. So I've shared all of my information within the conference today, and I mean, if you can follow me online, then I hope that I can point you in a direction to find somebody. But at the moment, I don't have a specific accounts to follow. I think that's all of the questions. Oh. Okay, so I have a little bit more time, as I'm being told. I'm reading in the chat right now. So yeah, if there's more questions, like I'd love more questions that I could chat with folks about. But I mean, I guess if we get any more questions, I hope we do. The reclamation circles that I mentioned and that I'm curating now, I'm being asked now, like, well, what's the next group of sessions going to look like? What are the next circles going to hold, and who's going to participate? And these circles, we've only done 2. This is the first time I've ever done this, and we have 4 planned, and we've done 2, and they've been so extremely healing in everything they do. And let's see. I've been, asked to try to figure out how people can stay connected outside of the circles, because there's that connection that when you heal, like you're bonded, you're so connected. And I've seen that grow from our first circle to the next circle. That was just Sunday morning that we had the second one. And I mean, the tears were going, people were talking, and like literally acknowledging the need to heal. And I think I'm really looking forward to see how the next round of these circles can be, and what else we can offer. Yeah. I'm reading some of these, reading some comments. Tone policed. I haven't heard that before. Yeah, and something about that. How you mentioned, Amy, depending on the circumstances, tone policing is racialized. Yeah. Something that one of the facilitators mentioned when we were crafting these spaces through our reclamation circles was how they were thankful to participate. And they mentioned how, working from home and working on things that you care about help you get past that, policing yourself, I think, with your tone. This facilitator mentioned how because they're not leaving their home and they're not going into a more white space or a more corporate space, that they're going to talk the way they want to, the way they feel the most comfortable. And acknowledging that, I think, is very powerful. Because I think if you can acknowledge that you're boxing yourself in these other spaces, that means you're boxing, your ancestors out. You're keeping things out. And I think that's something very, very powerful. And they were thanking me for having them participate in our circles because of that. And it was a very powerful thing to have told from our facilitators. Mm. Yeah, very much of a the insecurity projection. Yeah, I totally get that too. It's definitely a balance. I mean, not only for all people of color, but having a powerful voice and being a woman or a two-spirit person, like, you definitely feel it more. I mean, because I was feeling unheard even within my own community and different organizing circles, that I felt like I was just being direct, and there was definitely some more behind that, and it just, it doesn't. Oh, that mug, that's great. Oh, this is so great. Everybody, everyone's discussions. Books or authors. When you talk about a recommendation for books or authors regarding reclamation, I haven't really, I didn't have anything to go off of, and I'm kind of used to that, being, American Indian, being indigenous in the States. There's just not a lot of a true telling of who we are and how we do things. And when, like, MMIW, we don't have the data, we create the data because it's not there. And I felt the same way when it came to reclamation, and that reclaiming aspect of who we are to heal, very naturally came out in our circles when we were just discussing how we were going to craft these spaces. I didn't understand. I wasn't going into this with the idea of reclaiming anything, but the more we talked, I realized that's what I was wanting to do, reclaiming the way we speak to each other. And it wasn't like I wanted to introduce these native protocols. Like, sometimes, we have to embrace the fact that, some stories are only shared in the winter, or we can only talk about this after our New Year, which isn't the westernized calendar New Year, but in the spring. I wanted to embrace these things. It wasn't introducing these things, it was, embracing them and reclaiming them. Yeah, so it's I didn't really have books or anything like that to guide that part of curating these spaces. There's a couple more questions. Okay. Alexandria, as an African American woman, it can be a struggle for me to connect with my own indigenous heritage because yes. What are some ways for people to decolonize and to connect with their indigenous ancestry? I've always told, when people come up, personally, and I don't feel if, I can't speak for everyone, some of the most racist things I've ever heard said come from my own community. We deal with, anti-blackness, like, it's rampant. But I've always mentioned how, you can't separate yourself from being indigenous. Some people are like, I'm not indigenous, I'm American Indian. That's a big thing. But I've always said, when people are like, I'm not this or that, but I totally feel like everybody's indigenous from somewhere, and you do have a culture and a heritage. And yeah, I know it's harder for some people to connect to and find, and because of that suppression and that erasure in the dominant culture. But I feel like the connections need to happen very naturally and very intentionally, and to reach out to somebody that you feel like can help you. Personally, like, I have people ask me about healing and how they can connect with other people, and and I hate to tell them, like, you have to do the work, you have to get into the community, you have to make these connections one-on-one. And, you know, I do try my hardest, and I open myself up to have conversations with folks all the time. But I feel like if you're trying to connect to kind of that decolonization and to connect with their indigenous ancestry, it's a big process, and it's going to be time consuming, and it's not simple. The lessons are there, the medicine is there, it's just the right connections need to happen. I don't know if that answers that at all. Someone once told me that the only border is in our mind. Yeah. What so what are your thoughts about immigration? Quickly, I guess, because that's such a loaded question. Quickly, I've spoken on these issues before, and my take is always how, we didn't have these physical borders. It's all about natural movement, and I feel like, there shouldn't be, that the border, the geographical border for the southern United States is, it's literally physical there, but it cuts right through how many different nations and how many different tribes. And because of that invisible line, there's a division between being accepting and embracing who you are as an indigenous person. There are people that are, American Indian that will say, like, our indigenous relatives from the south of that border aren't Indian, aren't indigenous, or they're like, there's this separateness. So I totally see how, that movement needs to be there. If that if that answers that question, I'm not sure if it does. Okay.
Hi everyone. Hi Jodi. Thank you
Hello.
so much. I'm sorry about the technical issues earlier when your session was starting. Technology is great, but when it when it works, it's fabulous. When it takes a little bit, it takes a little bit. So thank you so much again. I truly appreciate your grace and just jumping right in and getting this session started. If we have any more questions, I'll make sure to all get all those together and see how we can answer those in another fashion, so they can get all your other questions and all the answers that you all need. Please make sure that you go back to the main page now. We have about 4 minutes before our next session. Please remember that click on the session to start on the next one. And just, I love sending an emoji, a round of applause to Jodi today for being here with us, taking the time to be here with us, being graceful, and are still using all the technologies. And just thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you. I had a great time. Thank you for everybody that joined in. I'm so thankful for you all for coming in. It was a great conversation. Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome, everyone. Thank you for being.